I haven't got a two-person camera view yet, so basically I'm using the basic one. The names have been taken off and all the blank bottom bits blank. I've changed it to episode 1, Joy of Extradimensional Spaces in Review.
Welcome to the Short Rest Tavern, where we're going to chat shit about something, and I have no idea because I didn't know until an hour ago that I was doing this. Yeah. How are you all today? Please excuse the layout, as we explained, of the fact that we don't have just a 3-person layout right now.
The beautiful part about YouTube is we can clip it. But no, hi everyone, hi internet. And yeah, welcome to Short Rest Tavern on a unusual Thursday stream rather than Monday or Friday for our first... Have I got... all my audio is muted, of course it is. Oh no, it isn't. Are we good?
I could just hear you on the thing. Yeah, give me a second.
Cool. Sorry.
I'm just choked on a blueberry.
Right.
Yeah, you sound fine.
Let's start that again. Yeah, so welcome everyone. Welcome to Short Rest Tavern. A little bit different on a Thursday. So, game night is Mondays and Fridays. On Thursdays, at the end of each arc or chapter of our Candlekeep Mysteries campaign, we are doing our Pull Up a Chair, a little bit of a talk show where we pull in a couple of members of the cast and have a little bit of a chat around thoughts, feelings, how they think things are going so far. They can speculate into the future and maybe ask some potent questions around where some decisions came from, characters' ideas came from, where they see things going. And yeah, hopefully just pull back the curtain a little bit and explore things a little bit less formal setting without the pressure of it being a live game, as it were. So, for those who don't know, we are running our Candlekeep Mysteries campaign every Monday at 7:30 UK time, and we have just finished episode 3, which brings us to the end of our first book in Candlekeep Mysteries, A Joy of Extradimensional Spaces. So we'll be jumping into part 2 of that campaign on Monday, which brings us a nice little opportunity to be joined by the wonderful Hannah and the wonderful Lauren to chat all things nerd and D&D, and we will see what things are. So, that all said, you guys have got to the end of the first bit. I believe you two haven't played together in D&D, have you? You've been around each other, but never been in the same actual campaign.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, literally exactly that.
So first bit I wanted to ask, it's just kind of a bit of an open floor question of was the first part what you expected, and what kind of were your preconceptions going into Candlekeep as a campaign?
Personally, I had none because I purposely didn't look up anything about the campaign at all. I knew it was something to do with Waterdeep, and I have done some campaigns in Waterdeep, so I knew that kind of geography and area and the lay of the land there, but not of Candlekeep. So I kept myself quite blank. I really tried to build my character beforehand so I could go in just experience the new place and new area and just see where it goes.
Sure. And Hannah?
I am a little out of my comfort zone with this because I've only ever played one bard, and it was literally for one session for 2 hours.
Did you die?
I didn't know. I was very alive. But like I said, it was only 2 hours, and I think I rolled maybe twice. But it was among other newbie players. So coming into this this kind of campaign with Candlekeep, because I'm playing a class that it's not that I'm not comfortable with it, it's just that I'm not used to at all. I couldn't really go in with any preconceived notions, I think is the easiest way of explaining it.
I guess from a DM point from a DM point of view, that's kind of good from my perspective. If you guys come in without any preconceptions, I don't have a bar to hit necessarily. I mean, there's an overall bar to hit, but there's no specifics. It's
your main one is, as long as they're having fun, I'm doing my job right.
It's a challenge I've had in the past when I run a Curse of Strahd campaign, where because that's such a prolific campaign that a lot of people involved with D&D have heard about, they go into it expecting this. They have expectation right going in, whereas this feels a little bit new and a little bit different.
Yeah, and similarly to Hannah, she playing a class that she's never done before. I picked Warlock, and I've never played a Warlock before, so everything was pretty new to me, and I did enjoy taking the time beforehand to kind of plan my character, plan their backstory. I've tried to plan like their leveling as well, because I know this is going to be a fairly long campaign, so I can see like a roadmap for where I want my character to be, and then as we play the game I can see how that fits in, and work it with the storyline that you are giving us and we're exploring throughout the weeks, and that's really exciting and interesting to me.
So, as part of this, I have 3 questions that I've prepared, shall we say. I'll try and remember them.
You prepared something?
Vaguely.
Oh
I'm talking
oh
back of a
God.
post-it note while I was eating a sandwich earlier.
I thought back of the hand.
Yes,
Post-it notes.
Oh, I'm prepared. Post-it notes are the lifeblood of DMing.
Damn.
On game night, I've just character notes all over the damn place. It helps. But yeah, I've got 3 questions I want to run past you guys, and then if you hopefully between now and over the next sort of 15-20 minutes, if you've got anything you want to ask, provided it's not spoiler centric, I can answer vaguely if need be. But yeah, then it'd be good to. And then at the end, I'd like all 3 of us to rate the first book of Candlekeep out of 10 to give a bit of a. And then at the end of the 17 adventures, we can kind of put them in, see if that ranking still holds true, and see, overall how we feel about them. And I think we'll come on to that towards the end, because I've got a few comments about the book in general so far. But yeah, so my first question is not necessarily specific to Candlekeep. The other questions are, but you've both played on stream before. This isn't your first streamed campaign. In terms of joining a new party, either with a new DM, I know this is the first time I've DM'd for Lauren, third time now for Hannah.
Can you DM for me for Alien?
Oh yeah, there's a one shot. That's true.
But that was a one shot. That don't count.
So, do you guys find it easier to make that transition from kind of playing in game or playing with DMs into a new campaign, or do you find it kind of harder to separate previous stuff if it's the same group?
Because it's literally you've been my DM and AD's been my DM.
Your pool is limited.
Yeah, but I do enjoy the fact that because you've DM'd me so much, I know pretty much exactly what I'm getting from you in terms of how it's gonna kind of go. Don't get me wrong, there are lots of plot twists, lots of stories around the way.
The style's consistent,
but I know your style.
Yeah.
So I know what questions I can ask, what questions I can't ask, and what I could potentially get away with in a role. I still try and push that boundary every so often. I'm like, can I do this? Even though I know the answer's going to be no straight away, I still try it. Just for that one day, like, do you know what? Yes.
I guess familiarity is quite nice. And I guess from Lauren, you've got kind of seen it from a little bit of a different angle. Obviously, we've played together in games more than you've been in one that I've DM'd. Again, do you see it differently, kind of joining a party for the first time? You've not played with any of these guys before. Is it a little bit different from your side?
So I've been playing various tabletops for about 10 years now. Some with close friends, some with partners being DM, some with brand new friends, and sometimes it's been 3 different campaigns within the week with the exact same party. So it's just getting into that mindset that you are not you are this character, and having that kind of relationship to it. So whomever is DMing me, whatever the party is, I see them as either whatever my character should see them as. So if we're meant to be friends for a very long time, then my brain goes, all right, we're best mates. It's I know them, let's go that way. If it's a brand new party and I'm just being introduced, then I will act that way. So I try to get myself into that mindset. So rather than Lauren is joining this new team of players, Deoni is with these people who she's been traveling with for years. So by getting into that mindset, that helps me with whomever I am being DM'd with. So I've been, I got started being DM'd by AD a year and 5 months ago now, last January 2020, and played that way. And I didn't know anyone there. I was introduced to him by Hannah. So that's how I was brought into this fold with Heavyweight and Short Rest. So they were complete and utter strangers for me. And if I had come in with the whole mindset, it's like, I don't know these people, I need to be meek and quiet and just like figure things out. It's like half the stuff my character did in that first Carbon campaign wouldn't make sense because my character was meant to be a pretty badass smuggler. And the same with my current Carbon campaign with you. So just switching your mindset and just remembering, like, within these 3 hours, you are not you. You are the character you have created, and whatever relationship you have with this party is what you need to kind of
I think
present.
That swings true as well from a DM point of view. Like, I've ran I've ran offline games over Zoom, I've ran in-person games, and I've ran kind of these more web show style focused games. And I find it easier to DM people I don't know or that I don't have a longer term friendship with, unless I've built that friendship through playing a system. Because if I'm starting DMing for the first time with people I've known for years who've never seen me in a DM setting, I find it a lot more difficult to let go, because it's like, well, they already know me, they already know what I'm like, and they know where I stop and where the game starts. Whereas if it's a new party or a party that I've become friends with through DMing, I think that gets a little bit more, you're used to it, becomes a more safer environment in order to do things and explore that. So, second part, let's bring things on to Candlekeep. So, you guys obviously start back at wee old little level 1. This is a bit of a different campaign in terms of progression, right? So, we haven't got that big, longer term story development. There's going to be character development as your characters just interact with each other, but it's a little bit weird having these little segmented adventures. Is that something that, I guess it's a bit early to tell yet, but is that something you're kind of interested to see or a little bit dubious about? Or do you guys have any thoughts about having these lots of little one-shots rather than a longer through line, as it were?
It kind of reminds me of like arcs in anime. So like, even like the anime may have like an overarching theme or goal at the end of it, but there will be essentially one-shots of episodes, like a bunch of episodes which all have a specific target that isn't quite the end goal, but it still kind of joins into it, if that makes sense. Sure. So I'm really intrigued by that with the whole Candlekeep. That's why I was up for playing it, because it's not a style I've played before. I've always had like either a campaign where the DM hasn't really told you the overarching thing. You are just, you are a band of mercenaries and you're going to do stuff like ba-di-ba-di-ba, and you just make it up as you go. And then there's the other ones where like, right, you have this end goal here. You need to get to it, and you need to find whatever way you need to get there. You might have to go find a treasure to give to this bard who gives you a key that gets you into this dungeon that gives you a artifact that gets you to the goal. And there's kind of a linear path. So I'm really intrigued by like these kind of mini arcs for, there may be a bigger goal, but they're not quite sure. But like, I've created a bigger goal for myself and my character. Sure. So I'm really enjoying like seeing how that all comes into play.
Okay. And Hannah?
I'm just going to move my thing so the light's not on me.
Yeah, no problem.
I do agree with Lauren, is that it's going to be very interesting to kind of figure out for myself how to establish a good play style that it can jump from one timeline to another, because I've got to be then super creative with the rest of the players about figuring out how we're going to develop that relationship in all of that downtime. Because, for instance, if the next session doesn't happen for like another 3-4 months in game, how have our relationships all kind of developed, and what little inside jokes do we have and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how things are going to be able to develop that way. But with these shorter one shots, I think is the easiest way to describe it.
1, 2, or 3 shots.
Yeah. I do like the fact that it can give me the flexibility that if I'm going, do you know what? I don't think I'm okay with this character, I'm not meshing with them, I think I'm going to change that to something else. I think it'd be quite nice to be able to have that flexibility. So I think this campaign is really good to start experimenting with 100%. Things. But the difficulty in that is difficulty making new characters. You don't always have an effective way of being able to level them up and seeing what they can truly do.
Sure.
Because if you hadn't have banned me from being a rogue, I would have been all over that.
That's why we banned you from being a rogue. It's like you've had 49,000 rogues. There's other things to explore. It wasn't so much. It wasn't to be right, in my defense, right? It wasn't so much banning you a rogue just out of any malicious intent. It's more that I think it would be more enjoyable and more useful for you to try something different in a more structured setting.
I definitely agree on that standpoint, because if I keep playing rogues and going, but I want to be really good at being a rogue, I'm missing out on all of this opportunity to maybe find a class that I go, oh damn,
contrary to popular belief,
good at this one.
My job as a DM isn't to screw with you guys out of game. It's to screw with you guys in game, out of game. There's a little bit more support element. Yeah, I mean, that you mentioned there about the whole, both of you kind of said the same about, Lauren, you touched on the idea of developing things, having your own plan for your own character that isn't necessarily narrative driven within the story bits. And Hannah, you mentioned, that experimentation piece. I think they do interlock a little bit. From a DM's perspective, a couple of things I've never really toyed with is downtime in games. I think with most campaigns, fitting in downtime and non-exciting, that whole, oh, nothing got murdered today, or we're not raiding a fortress today, and 50 people didn't die and we didn't loot anything. I think those episodes are important, but they have to have context and they have to have a reason to exist. And I think this gives us that nice, we can explore that and play around with that off screen, if you like. It's almost like the seasons of a TV show, right? End of season 1, start of season 2. Sometimes there's a time jump. Sometimes things have happened, and sometimes that's explicitly said, and sometimes it isn't, and it's just discovered later on. I think something like this just gives us a few more tools to try things like that, especially from a DM perspective. And also, it means I can be probably a little bit less safe with NPCs and story arcs, and even items and things, because there are these time jumps. If I throw in something a little bit experimental with an NPC that's a bit out there, or an item or a location that isn't quite meshing in a longer term campaign, I've signed my fate to it, because Sod's Law says that's the NPC you will gravitate towards, and I can never write out the story ever. In this, every 2 or 3 sessions we have a soft reset, which gives me a really nice option to kind of go, okay, here's a really quirky NPC for this arc. Let's say Matreus, for example, right? Matreus may come back later, he may not, but he gives me that option. He
comes back later, I'm killing him.
I feel you.
Like, a good thing is the homunculi in the mansion, right? It's something a little bit out there. Okay, I could throw something in there. You can have a little meaningful interaction with them, but I know that they are throwaway, for lack of a better phrase. It's not something I have to. At level 18, it's not like, oh, you're going to keep going back to their shop or whatever. It's nice to have that distinction away from it.
Good, because Ygraine hates them. She has no reason why. She just does.
Just don't like their faces.
It's just because they're all about hospitality, which is her thing. Don't like it.
So
I've tried downtime in games a couple of times where we've finished the main part of the quest, and we have some items we need fixing, and it takes 2 weeks to fix these items, so sure, we're not going to go anywhere. So you take the time to go learn a new skill, or study some books and stuff. And for my character, that stuff is going to be really, really important to me.
That's what I'm kind of. Sure, yeah, I haven't explicitly mentioned it. I mean, for those who aren't part of the show and things, there is a little element of that. We obviously plan these. We don't script the episodes, and it is still very much live improv. But a few things like a little bit of character backstory, a little bit of the downtime pieces we are developing, just to give a little bit of interest. And that's the part I'm quite excited about, because I roughly know, or at least I know a framework of what set pieces and what journeys are going to be happening in each of these books, right? They're not linear, but I roughly have a framework. What I don't have any control over, or any sort of framework, is what you guys decide to do in between that. And I think that's where a lot of the character development is going to come from. And I think that's where a lot of the sparkle is going to come through. And it was...
How long between the book we just finished and the new book? Like, what's our time?
It will be around a week.
Oh, just a week. Okay, cool.
It will be around a week.
Okay.
So I did toy with the idea of making it a full-length campaign. But I'm already doing that with Ram of the Frost Maiden. And Ram of the Frost Maiden, it gives me the option to run them in two different styles simultaneously. Means I can try things in each approach, right, and use those to cross over and do, and learn from each one. So it's rather than trying to force an overarching narrative, I kind of put it on you guys and did the laser DM approach of, hey players, fill with your own backstory development in your downtime, and then you guys can go.
I love my backstory.
Yeah, you can.
I love mine. I'm so happy with mine.
You can make it interesting as you want. You can make it, for example, Mal wanting, Mal's an alchemisty type, right, and an artificer, so they have the option to study and to learn more and to maybe try some bits and pieces.
They're trying to get a cure for their sister's illness.
Yeah, so there's the option there of in the downtime that may look very different to say Ygraine, who's more, like you say, hospitality driven, is the motivations, and when you're not actively pursuing a deadline or a target or an active mission, as it were, that's where those little flavors in your own goals come through. And I think that's this campaign allows us to do that in a unique way, which is quite exciting.
Absolutely.
So I was going to ask about classes, but I know it's not necessarily relevant to Candlekeep. One thing I wanted to ask, just to kind of keep it in line with the Candlekeep and review, is did the setting and did the idea of it being kind of mysteries and being in a library influence your character design at all? Or do you think you'd have picked something similar regardless of the setting?
My choice. Go for it, Han.
In all honesty, I haven't exactly taken this seriously.
You're playing a satyr who cooks. Really? It works though. That's the big thing about D&D. You can take a non-serious design, and you can take a super serious character and make it quirky. You can take a quirky character and make it serious. It's
like, because the only characters I've ever really played are number one, rogues. Yes, okay. But it's like they've always had like some form of like a backstory that actually relates to like previous history and never towards really what they're trying to actually achieve end goal. So with
Ygraine,
sorry, I had a little bit of background noise. I didn't want it to be like, what, is this place on fire? Yes, my soul. So with Ygraine, I did I was thinking, okay, well, like, there's not much about her in the Feywild, like, nothing happened to her, so she's just going, you know what? I'm going to go find this thing that people keep talking about, and I'm going to make a thing with it. I'm going to see what the issues are with it, and then I'm going to exploit it. And it's her backstory is only really thinking about the future as opposed to the past of things, because she's pretty...
If I may just interject there just briefly, I think that, at least in my experience, is quite rare for D&D. I think with my own characters as well and people I've played with in the past, I think it's really easy to get caught up on a backstory, being your history, what's led you to this point. I think it's quite nice to have this whole, here's what goals, here's what ambitions, here's what my character wants to achieve. That might change and shift as the context of what they're experiencing happens and the story happens and unfolds around them. But I think it's quite nice designing a character with that in mind.
Yeah, it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm not completely dismissing it, but I was like, oh, well, I know for a fact that if I'm not the biggest fan of this specific character, I don't really have that much holding me back. Going, well, I've developed this whole lore and history behind them, so I kind of have to follow through with it. Because at any moment, Ygraine could find this thing and go, oh, I'm done.
Laters.
Pisces.
I think that's quite a cool thing to have, though. I think what makes the characters interesting is that the characters have their own ambitions regardless of the story, and that the world around them will do stuff and react irrespective of their actions, right? It's not like Skyrim where your NPC or your town guard will stand there complaining about the nearby troll until somebody comes over and does something about it.
Yeah.
And the troll's going to sit in that cave for months until someone goes and kills it. I much prefer the idea of that the world will react irrespective of what you do. You can influence it, but you're not going to... Your passiveness isn't going to solve things.
Exactly. And plus, by having that, like, right, this is what I want my end goal to be, gives you flexibility as a DM as well as me.
Ruin it all for you.
Or not even to ruin it, but if I go, do you know what? I'm really not meshing with this character. I can literally just turn to you and go, I'm not meshing. Can we end this for her? Or like, if she can take like a sabbatical to go somewhere else.
That's what Maitreya's did. That's what Maitreya's tried to do, and you guys threw him through a portal.
Hang on, you guys, you mean...
Right.
He was on holiday, and you guys rudely interrupted that. He was
on holiday that he was terrified
just to keep things moving, Lauren, do you have any comments around your character design, and did the setting influence that, or were you set on a badass warlock regardless?
So like I said, I had no preconceived notion of the campaign or anything like that. I came into it blank, so my character creation was just because I wanted to make this character and I thought I could create this thing. The only idea I had was there should be books involved within this Candlekeep Mysteries, because Candlekeep's something to do with books. So I was like, all right, I can use that. And so I created my character. There's a bit of backstory if you go onto our Twitter. There's like a little bit. My character has a goal. Unlike Yraine's, it's not a hard and fast goal. It's not like I'm going to find something and I'm done. I am trying to destroy all the gods. Quite a lofty goal.
Ambitious.
Did you not know this, Hannah?
Ambitious.
Got it.
I want to find out about this during game because we have technically never met.
Then just forget it. Forget it.
Yeah, Ygraine doesn't know.
Ygraine doesn't know. Hannah knows. Ygraine doesn't. Like compartmentalize. But yeah. So my whole thing was so I do have a goal, and a lot of things within these campaigns can help me get to my goal, but it's not a be all end all until I end it all. So when I kind of got the idea that I'm going to play something different. I'm going to play a warlock. I quite like the idea of a fallen Azamar because I played it once. I quite liked it. I liked the build.
I've just got an image in my head. You know, the Elmo meme was just like that and everything's on fire.
Yes, that is it. That is it. And also, the little girl there's a building on fire next to her and she goes,
yeah, just everything's on fire like around her.
Yeah, because that little girl actually looks like me when I was younger, so that's me. But no, so like when I got that kind of idea into me, and then I've got some like when I am leveling up and I'm going to do some multi-class and things like that, that'll all kind of build into this badass kind of force of nature at some point. So by the end of things, like I will be a force to be reckoned with. If not, yeah, I'm already pretty fucked right now, but like at the end of this, oof, Deoni's gonna be it, baby.
So without throwing too many spoilers in, what I'm really excited about from a DM point of view is that each one of these adventures allows me to drastically change the location, the setting, the types of enemies, and the tone. Your first part was quite whimsical. You're in in a pocket dimension mansion full of quirky things, someone who has too many cats and probably spends too much time in a science lab, which probably strikes a little bit too close to home thinking about it. But the next one will be drastically different, and down the line there is going to be some very 90-degree turns in terms of tonality and theme and setting, and I think that will be really cool. Whereas oops, you two just switch round. Check that, the magic of technology.
I'm so sorry, that button did not do what I wanted it to do.
Swapped places.
What did this button do?
Misty step, boom. No, one thing that I think Frost Maiden, and I love the Frost Maiden campaign. We're not reviewing that right now, but if you like Frost Maiden, Fridays, 8 o'clock, Heavyweight Gaming. Frost Maiden is a very similar theme, right? Yes, there are different aspects, and it does open up a little bit more, and you guys have gone to a few different locales, but it is still very much all within the same geographic location with the same theme. So there's only so much you can do with that. This, I mean, without this, I'm just going to randomly throw some stuff out there. None of this may or may not appear. You could be, 1 minute you're in an enchanted mansion, the next minute you're in the Feywild, then you're in some shadow area, next you're in a mountain or a dungeon, an enchanted wizard's tower, out in the open field, in a, further in Candlekeep. There's so much nice. It's almost like leveling, like the old 90s or early 2000s video games where you, rather than it being like a long narrative like modern gaming, you finish a level, you go back to the world, you pick the next stage, and the next stage is themed differently, and it keeps it fresh. I think it's going to have that feel to it, where each arc is almost like a level that has its own distinct feeling. Well, that's the goal anyway. So, before we come on to things in review, where we're going to look at our favourite and least favourite moment and give it a good old out of 10, do you guys have anything? I've got a couple of bits in the chat that we're going to go in a minute, but for now, do you two have any questions, either to me, to each other, or in general, around the first 3 episodes?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
In the final episode, what was in the garden? I know we're never going to do that there. Because what did we do with the book?
What book?
The Spectre book.
Oh, I have that.
She stole
You
it.
still have it. Okay,
I
cool.
keep that. Of course, it's a book. I want it. He's not having it back. I took it back off him, even though Ygraine and Sahara were saying destroy. I was like, not me. That's mine. That's my book.
By level 10, she's just going to have a giant rucksack on, just absolutely
I need a bag of
stacked with
holding.
stolen books.
I really genuinely think that encumbrance should be a thing in this specific
It might be, depending on how many books Lauren steals over the next few months.
I'm going to get it back. No. I've just realized I can learn extra-dimensional spaces, and I'll just keep all my books there.
So instead of a mansion, Modern Canon's magical bookshop, it's just an interdimensional.
I'm just going to have a library. It's going to be like Beauty and the Beast fucking library,
Like
and all my books are going to be there. And I'm going to just say Titty Bojangles and walk through a portal, and all my books are there.
That's a real life goal, to be honest with you. It's not about in-game. I want that in my actual life.
An infinite library within an infinite library.
Yes.
But yeah. What was in the garden?
So you guys went out into the garden.
And little dragony things in it.
Yeah, you found the little orange fairy dragons, the fairy dragons. They basically.
That was it.
Yeah, there's orange fairy dragons. Basically, they have a breath weapon that disorientates rather than hurts, like a normal dragon. But it's like a normal dragon's breath. It can't just machine gun it. Each one dropped it once. One on Ygraine, one on Mal. Mal failed. He went a little bit loopy for a few minutes.
Okay.
The whole thing about the first chapter, at least or the first arc from my point of view, is that almost playing on the fact that you guys don't know what to expect. And because each arc is completely new, there is some beautiful opportunities as a DM to mess, like subversion of expectation, luring to a false sense of security, red herrings. Especially kicking things off with Joy of Extradimensional Spaces, because it's in a pocket dimension. You can get away with a lot of things in that building, right? There's the whole animated books. You've got the evil library down behind the secret wall. You've got the mimic, for example. And a few other bits and pieces you may or may not have come across, but because you just happened to go to the room with a mimic in first, right? I didn't know. You could have gone the other way. You could have gone, you just happened to go straight to that room first, which I love, because once you found a mimic, everything looks like a mimic for the next.
Everything's a mimic. Everything's always a mimic.
Once you know, it's like playing Dark Souls, right? The first time the mimic comes out of that chest, you never trust a chest ever again. It's the same idea. So it was quite nice from a narrative that was the first thing you came across. Especially because a couple of the players in the party had never seen a mimic in a game before. And they were like, oh god, they were just like, right, everything's a mimic. Like suit of armor, I don't trust it, let's dismantle it. I'm like, yeah, knock yourself.
Yeah, because like with the suit of armor, so when I came up to it, I was just going to take the sword off and chuck the sword downstairs.
They're like, we don't trust it, dismantle it.
Sahar just goes like, oh, we'll dismantle it. It's like, fuck it, yeah, I'll help you dismantle it. So I was just going to take away its weapon. But sure, you want to dismantle it? Are you looking for something?
It's its own weapon.
But like, if it hasn't got anything pointy, it's fine. But it's just like, you want to just, yeah, sure, why not? But better safe than sorry, why not?
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
So literally the only thing in the garden was the dragons. That was it.
And the drift globes. It's an opportunity for you guys to grab some, items and things that you can use later on down the line. That's always got some options. Like I say,
I wasn't sure if there was like a
reviews,
big bit we could have missed.
I will give away some little bits. What I won't do is say you explicitly missed X or Y, because what that does is that then sets a bar. I think that then I don't want to go down that route, just because then next time you come across that, you'll act differently because of it, and I'd rather not. But I think overall, as a general scope of the mansion, there wasn't a great deal you missed. You did investigate thoroughly. You rolled pretty well, across your investigations and things. Again, it's level 1. The observatory puzzle to open it's not the most. But once you put pieces together, it clicks into place quite nicely, right? It's a nice, gentle introduction. It's not designed to absolutely ruin people at level 1. But yeah, it could have done. I mean, that library hits like a train, and the weird little frog creature you guys found in the summoning room.
Oh, that thing!
The frog that wasn't a frog.
I knew it was a wrong one.
That has the capability to be pretty nasty. You guys, you made a good couple of saves across the board in general. And yeah, if you got bad, use the health potion. That's 50 gold worth of healing blue in the first level. Level 1, 50 gold health potions aren't to be sniffed at. You got yourself a magical +1 weapon. That's definitely nothing to sniff at level 1.
I thought was rather incredible for level 1.
You've got yourself a drift globe for all your lighting purposes. It's like, did a bit of an IKEA
Yeah, it's not
shop.
like anyone has dancing lights or prestidigitation or lights cantrip or anything like that.
Look,
yeah.
If you don't want me to give you magical items, I'll just take them all out and you can have your spells.
I didn't even tell us about it, but Mal was
We'll
happy.
just sell it.
So Mal's got it. They can keep that.
And
I'm not bothered by it.
And they stole some robes. So they've got themselves a set of avowed robes. We'll see what happens with that on the downtime, because that could raise some questions. If you're running around a religious area dressed as a priest, we'll see how well that goes.
I'm so excited to see how badly they're gonna fuck shit up.
So
just inadvertently, they're not even gonna notice that they're doing it.
That's not my bother. I'm not bothered by that. That's their problem.
So
they've already pissed me off.
We've got a few minutes there. I want to. I don't want to run too much past the hour mark. So we've got about 20 minutes. Do you guys have I know it's really early yet, and I know we haven't had a lot. Do you guys have a standout moment of a joy of extradimensional spaces that sticks out in your brain sponges?
I only did the red.
The bit that I loved the most was when Ygraine was like, wait, the map, the stars, I could figure this out. She, bless her soul, it's probably the one intelligent idea she's probably had in a very long time. The fact that she failed it, and she looks so disheartened, and then Ygraine was like, it's okay, just try it one more time, and just gave it my heart melted.
You got this.
And I was like, they're so in love, but they're never gonna say it.
Again, just to
say it.
Just kind of interject there. One thing I really like about Ygraine as well is the whole kind of fish out of water thing. Because you're a fey creature, you don't necessarily have as much experience on the material plane as the rest of the party do, for example. Yeah. Which then could come into your favour later on down the line if you guys ever find yourself in the Feywild, for example, and suddenly then the roles are massively reversed. What the hell is that? You're like, don't worry, I got this. Don't stand on that. Don't drink that. Definitely don't look at that. I have to go this way. And it'll be a complete
just
180.
On their eyes.
Yeah.
Another benefit of Ygraine being from the Feywild, literally directly from the Feywild. It's not like, oh, I came here a while ago and, this is my life now. She's gone, I'm bored of the Feywild because I can't find this thing. Just hop through this portal. Not quite sure where it's going to go, but I think that's very much going to help with just going.
It's like that. I really like the line when you were like, "There's a portal on the wall." They're like, "I'm not so sure." Like, move. I've done this before. Whoop. I know. I'm good.
The only thing that ran through Ygraine's head was, "I'm not dead yet."
That's fair. Lauren, your favourite bestest bit if you have one.
So mine is I only did the red from Mal when I was trying to kill the mimic. And Ygraine keeps stealing my kills, so I'm upset about that.
So for those, just for the benefit of those who didn't catch that, so when they first found a mysterious chair, a lovely Deoni here fired a crossbow at it. At the same time, Mal decided to play a bit of a prank and do minor illusion and make the effect of a blood spray behind, not knowing that it was actually a creature. So then there's like a spray of mimic green blood and then the illusional spray of red blood. And he's like, they said, I only just did the red one. And they're like, oh God, no.
Yeah, so I backed up. So I was just looking at it. I was like, how big is this room? Like, I'll back up 15. I draw my crossbow and I go to shoot it. And Mal goes, prestidigitation or whatever, minor illusion. It's like, okay. And then they see the green and like, I only did the red. And then I'm trying to like take down this bloody mimic, and Ygraine comes in and steals my kill. And once it's dead, I just turn to Mal and go, what did you mean by you only did the red?
There was a lovely,
no. Explain
like,
yourself.
Moment, because all 5 of you kind of made the connection that, I was like, oh yeah, because it was brilliant, because I had no idea Mal was going to do that, right? And it kind of allowed me to keep that, oh yeah, it's just you being paranoid, that little fraction of a second longer of, yeah, you fire the crossbow, and yeah, there's a blood spray, you know, and another one, and then all of a sudden everyone's face is like,
You want to know the beauty of that scene?
Go on.
Because it was the first session and I was so focused on making sure that the chat was right and that the competition was all going to run well, I had no idea what was happening. I've just come into, mimic, and I'm like, what? Huh?
Like you would have in an actual scenario. It's like you were down the corridor.
yeah.
Genuinely, that's the reason why my reaction was the reaction that I had, because I was legitimately surprised when suddenly, can you roll for initiative? What?
I think
And the fact that Mal, like afterwards when we were speaking in our chat after the game had finished, and Tony, who plays Mal, was like, I was like genuinely emotional. I was like, I'm so sorry, I love you, I didn't mean it, that was Deoni. It's like, no, it was great, it was like so in character. It's
this comes on to my favourite moment of the first 3. So both times it's been when you guys have tried to do something social and it's not quite, it's split the group a little bit. Honourable mention was the yeeting Matreus back through the portal of us. Never mind. My favourite moment, I think, just because it was the first time we saw a little bit of the character, or one of the first times we saw kind of a bit of the characterizations really come through. The whole gatehouse bit was pretty funny, just because it's the first NPC you guys come across. It's the first time we see all of your characters in character engaging with this, rules guy at the front gate who needs to go through the paperwork. But I really like the whole, hey, everyone! Roll. Nothing. Everyone's just like, meh. Completely ignores you. You go swan into the middle of this courtyard. Hey, you there?
Oi, pricks!
Never mind, just carries on. And I was just like, that's fantastic. That's last level.
That was Sahar. So Sahar yelled.
That's level 1 in D&D, isn't it? Of, hey,
no.
hell are these newcomers? I'm busy. Piss off.
So Sahar was the one who did that, and then I came over and I let her go on my shoulders.
And made a bigger scene.
And I did my aura of, I suppose, badness.
In full sight of a shit ton of trigger-happy guards, archmages who were there to protect.
And they saw my wings flash and my aura darken and just like, pay attention to me, bitch. And
I literally rolled and went, I wonder what that god thinks about this. Ooh, okay. Ooh. What level are you guys again? 1. Ooh.
Yeah, so like me and Andrew just like center attention. It's like, listen up, bitches. Come here.
So, on to the final little conclusion of this wonderful episode 1 of Pull Up a Chair, which is what I'm now.
Are we not going to answer Sawdust's second question?
We have a second question.
So Sawdust asks
least.
favorite moments and least from the first 3 sessions.
Okay, let's go. I don't think I have a least favorite moment, but I think that's because, and that's a bit of a cop out, but hear me out. I think it's because I'm juggling so many things, both stream, characters, like making sure mechanically it fits. I think it's really hard for me not to feel engaged or feel invested in anything, because everything in some way, shape, or form is going to involve me, passively. There's a few. It's not very much a least favorite things. I think I wish could have been better. I think it's probably a better way to phrase it. I'm still working on accent differentiation, or trying to make the NPCs feel more distinct, which is limited because I don't have a particularly great range. I don't have a particularly great range of accents, and I have a fairly my accent.
You just get a bunch of hats.
Yeah,
and when different. You just change the hats.
That's a shout. Yeah, so it's something I'm looking at working on. I think we've got a little bit of variety, but like a couple of times it's like NPCs, and as they've been walking, I was like, I could have maybe dialed that up a little bit heavier and things like that. So that's probably from the DM's perspective, the least favorite is I'm gonna put a little bit more. What's the word? Memorableness. Yeah, memorableness. Distinctionness
between each character.
Yeah, I think that would be quite. I think hopefully we'll find that with the latest 2 NPCs that you've met. You haven't got their names yet, but the mullet-wearing halfling who runs the tavern, the inn.
I love how he wears the mullet.
How you wear hair, don't you?
Yeah. So you have hair, or you wear a wig.
Yeah, you wear your hair, you style your. I don't know. I don't have hair. I'm the wrong person to have this conversation with. And my favorite.
You've had hair in the past, though.
It's so long ago. I forgot.
For a short amount of time.
It was 12.
And then
the barkeep. I think the barkeep has the potential to be a nice reoccurring NPC with their. They're a little bit more eccentric, and they seem to have struck up a little bit of a conversation with Mal. So we'll see how that rolls out.
Sawdust doesn't like your answer. They say it was a bollocks answer. What's something you've done as a DM that didn't land as you wanted to or thought it would?
I will answer that in a second, but first let's cover off you two's least favorite, if you have them. You don't have to.
I'm
pick
more
fault.
interested.
You don't have to. You don't have to pick faults in my DMing for a least favorite unless you really, really want to.
So with mine, I am going to pick faults with you.
Hey, I'm having a really good day today. How can I ruin that? My self-esteem's not awful. Let's get Lauren on the show.
You were already having a really shit day.
Yeah, I've got my coping.
No, it's just something about like characterizations and stuff, and like Deoni is a very stoic, kind of blunt character, and a couple of times, like I did get a bit angry with you on Monday because you kept saying, "Oh, Deoni storms off angrily." Deoni has a tantrum. It's like, no, she fucking doesn't. Like Deoni just like now Lauren does because Lauren's pissed off. But my character is like, when I say I leave, I just straight up leave. No emotions, no nothing. Like she's just done, and she just goes.
I think a lot of that comes down to the challenge as well. Is out of everyone else, you're the only person I've not DM'd for before. So I think that's just getting things meshing. I think once.
Yeah.
I think that problem happens once. We address it, learn from it, and then we know where we stand with it. Whereas the other guys, we've already had that in previous campaigns, where we had that initial. Let's just get things aligned. Okay, now we're on that level. Now we can go forward with it.
But the importance with that is ensuring that, because like beforehand we did have like our character descriptions, our key kind of words and things like that. It's all well and good, but sometimes you do need to have like that prior discussion with the DM, like, right, this is my character, this is the shtick, especially when you're streaming. And like in future, I'd probably like sit with you before we start and go like, right, this is my character, this is their ammo, this is how they've done, this is how I'll play it. So like we're all on the same page.
I think I'm a little bit in two minds about that. I think because I like organic character growth, I think having a little bit of that discussion is
character
important.
growth, and then there's like the character's been established.
I think there's a middle ground that works, and I think for the most part we've hit that okay. I think, like say, with the other guys, I already had a bit of a litmus test beforehand, whereas that was kind of the first time in character we've had a proper, more heated engagement between an NPC or and description versus a character that's quite heated in the moment. And I think
it was being Ygraine.
Once you've had that, I think then it's fine. I think that's just that first initial teething issue with it. Hannah,
something that I've noticed that it's like, because like you mentioned, Rob, like you've never DM'd Lauren before. Lauren's never really played with any of us. You are already a very roleplay person. Like as soon as you are like, right, are we going
I thought you were going to make
like,
Tony cry. Like literally, it was just like, don't touch anything, don't move. I was just like, Jesus Christ, I'm scared.
And because you are so RP heavy, which like I envy, not gonna lie, like I have to. I don't know if you noticed, but sometimes I'll sit there during session and just be like, because I'm trying to figure out, okay, what is Ygraine doing? I'm probably fiddling with something, and I think that's where the cross is, because for Rob DMing for the rest of us, we've never been that roleplay heavy, and so we've kind of had to go.
I think it
also
brings
like
out.
This.
I think it's brought out another side, because obviously we see the contrast with Frostmaiden, right? Because it's almost the same party. It's only with Lauren's not in it, but AD is. I think Frostmaiden has some RP elements, but I think a lot of you have developed that comfort to be able to, first time a lot of you have been on stream with Frostmaiden as a party, and I think you'd be surprised that if you watch the first episode of Frostmaiden to now, I think a lot of that comfort is built in Frostmaiden, which you've now been able to bring over and almost have a little bit of a fresh start and feel more comfortable to jump straight in. And then if you've got someone like Lauren who's more comfortable with that out of the outset, that brings it out a little bit more. I think it helps having, if they're bouncing things off you in character, you're almost forced to do it back. And I think it helps support that.
Oh, massively, yeah.
Who has the most kind of like RPG like experience in our group? Because I've got 10 years. No, I mean out of the players.
Ree's done a lot of LARP and RP stuff, not necessarily tabletop, but they.
I just mean like tabletop RP, like playing a game of D&D Pathfinder or something.
Probably you, I think.
Okay.
Angie's very new. And this is Frostmaiden's Angie's first campaign. I don't know Tony's RPG background. We'll have to ask them.
Yes, you do. You were there first.
Was that for? Okay, so yeah.
Tides.
So Hannah, I think Hannah, Tony, and Ree's experience is all about the same. I think Hannah's probably a little bit. You've got a little bit more, but that's just because I think I think you've been around the communities that have played D&D more than you've played, which I think is a unique situation.
I'm fresher to the TTRPG, but I've been part. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing in all honesty. I've been part of so many different campaigns. I've had to make so many different characters, and I've had to work with so many different characters. I feel like I've been playing for 10 years at this point. I'm not going to lie. Just a depressing thing is that I've never had a character do more than one session at a level 5.
Yeah,
that is the depressing thing. Because every time I'm like, yes, I'm getting into a character, I'm getting this. The campaign is over, and not through TPK.
I almost think that's a benefit, because from a DMing perspective, I mean, I've played in games, but I think I've almost resigned myself that I'll probably be DMing now more
forever
than playing. When I was playing, I found my first few characters. You pick up things and you learn the system and you learn what it's like to play D&D so quickly because it is so accessible the early stage. I almost got to the point of, I wish I'd done something different. I almost like the fact you can just go, right, a little bit of a campaign that washes out. It's a shame, but then you come back into it again, right, I can learn from that and start at a higher level going into this one. And once you've done that 2 or 3 times, it's almost like okay, they're your tutorial campaigns out of the way. Now I know enough to be able to make a more informed choice about what I want to play, I've seen other people's characters, I've seen what works, and I think it gives you a better platform to jump into a more serious, longer-term campaign.
Yeah, and the reason I asked it is because, like, you mentioned that I am like full RP as soon as like we go live, or I try to be as much as I can, and that's just from years of experience of playing it. It's like I get more enjoyment if I'm kind of like in it, like I am in the game. I'm not coming out of it. I've had campaigns in the past where I've been with like complete newbies who like talk for 20 minutes for a 6-second action. And it just takes me completely out of it. Like I love this group because they've got that little bit of experience that they're not going to take a long time, and they're not going to like constantly chat to each other about the minutiae of a certain action. Like they will decide something and they will go for it. But it just like getting into your character just takes practice and experience. And like, I remember like my first ever trial of D&D. I got laughed out of the room by like this bunch of players. So I was 22. and like these were seasoned D&D players, and they had a homebrew campaign, and this guy I worked at invited me over to try it because he said, oh, you might be interested. Like, oh yeah, that sounds quite fun. And when I created the character and I was trying to play, they told me one thing: I needed a transformation, and my only reference for transformation was Sailor Moon, so I did a Sailor Moon transformation, and they laughed me out the room. It's like, okay, this isn't fun. So I ended up not playing for like another 2 years. So I was 21. Exactly.
I think this is something that down the line, for those who don't know, me and AD from Heavyweight Gaming are going to be doing a once a month Life as a DM. We're going to be doing a show on Short Rest Tavern called Beards and Brews, which will be starting at the end of this month. It's where basically we have a cup of tea and we chat all things DMing. You know, and one of the topics that we're going to discuss is, I think me and him really share the idea of making D&D accessible, and that I personally think everyone should try D&D. I think it's a huge, lovely way of re-engaging that social interaction, off of technology, ironically over Zoom, but still that whole, like the improv and that comfort. I think there's a lot of kids, especially who go through school, who want to explore like the creative arts, music, drama, that side of things, but don't feel comfortable or a little bit too insecure at that stage to fully explore it. And then when you're a little bit older, it becomes, I think it's quite nice to revisit that. And I think me and AD share the view of we want to make it accessible and hopefully have a community where people feel safe and feel able to come and try it in an environment that isn't going to happen. Because nothing's going to put... It's the same in... I've been involved with board gaming and tabletop wargaming. Same sort of story. If you come in and you're at your comfort zone in that first session, that makes or breaks it, right? And if you have a bad first experience, it's going to put you off. So I'm very much... I like the fact that this group is new, but what I like about it being new is that, with the probably exception of Lauren, and again, I don't know how in depth your background goes with it, but a lot of the tropes in D&D, there's only so many things you can do in D&D, right? Creativity has diminishing returns. When you're playing with people who've never played before, everything's new and exciting. Every little red herring, every little bit of intrigue, every little trap is going to catch you off guard. Every twist is going to feel cool because you've never seen it before. You've been playing 10, 20 years. You've got to stop being sharper with it. Otherwise, the stuff that will work on a new player won't work on an experienced player.
So thinking about the mimic, especially, like exactly. I knew what it was. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And for my character would have known what it was because they're like into like the arcane beasts, things like that. So it made sense for me to be aware that that chair ain't right. But even though I've played for a long time, I've played a variety of campaigns and systems. There are still things that are new to me, and there are things that I would have completely forgotten about. It's like the first time I met a gelatinous cube, like fucking hell. It's like I knew about them, but I completely forgot. And then when we got involved with it, I was like, shit, I'm gonna die. And it's just a big blob of jelly. That's fun. So there's always going to be something to surprise you. And because there's such a variety of campaigns, that there will be things that you forget and you will rediscover. That's what I find.
It's why I'm really excited with Frostmaiden, because with Frostmaiden, people like AD, for example, playing Gentle Steps, knows the monster, knows as much as I do, if not more. So it's really hard as a player. If you know the creature as a player, you have two choices. You either allow that knowledge to influence your decisions, in which case you have an unfair advantage, or you purposely play suboptimally because you know your character wouldn't know. But at that point, you're still making an intentional choice to put yourself in a bad position, which is hard to do fairly. Because if you have no idea what that creature is, you can't be biased. Your actions are true. And what I love about Frostmaiden and using these new campaigns as they come out, both Candlekeep Mysteries and Rime of the Frostmaiden, have unique monsters added to that book. So there's going to be some creatures that, yeah, of course, AD's going to have seen them before, right? A goblin's a goblin, an owlbear's an owlbear. A troll's a troll. But some of the creatures in Frostmaiden he's not going to have seen before. And hopefully you'll find the same within Candlekeep, whereas down the line, level 1, I mean, the chain bookcase, cool thematically, but there's only so much you can do at level 1, right? Because if it was any more interesting, it's just going to kill all of you. When we get to the mid-range levels, there are some unique characters in there that have twists and turns that hopefully will catch you off guard a little bit or lure you into a bit of false sense of security. And I think that's seeing people see a mimic for the first time in D&D. That's a first time thing, right? You only get that once, and I think with a group this level of experience, we get that more often than not, and I think that's a really cool thing to happen. Just I know we're tight for time. I do want to quickly answer Sawdust and Swearword's question, and then I want to move on to the little review section, if that's okay. So he went, okay, Rob, that was a bollocks answer. What's something you've done as a DM that didn't land or wanted or thought it would? I thought you might do something horrific, obscene, or weird with the cats at some stage. I was
going to kill the cats.
Yeah, I fully expected there to be some shenanigans. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting cat shenanigans in some way, shape, or form. Either one of you trying to keep one of you volleying one down the step, whatever it might have been, throwing it into the... I don't know. I was expecting shenanigans with the mimic. Sorry, with the cats. I purposely removed any expectations or any what I want to happen with the meeting with Matreus. I had a bunch of different ways of when you go through that portal and you see him in that room, what's he going to do? And because you'd picked up the book and brought it with you, I was like, that's a really nice way of me then separating him from you and him not being able to help from the other side because you've taken the book with you, and it gives me that nice little narrative arc to play off of. What I didn't expect was I'm going to grab him. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was like, all right, fine. That's my whole plan out the way. Mercifully, I rolled well. Because I was like, if I'd have rolled badly and you'd have grabbed him, I have now RP Matreus for the entire 3 sessions. And he's going to be with you. And I was like, I don't mind doing that. But I'm glad I outrolled purely because I'd not planned to have Matreus as an NPC with you. I could have done it, but...
Did you really think we would have... Well, I wouldn't have tried to grab him from going through the portal without us.
No, but I didn't think you'd roll a pissing 19 or whatever you roll. Like, I mean, it happens, right? And it's improv. The thing that I think... the big thing I didn't think landed as well as maybe it could have done was how inquisitive and explorative they would be when they first got to Candlekeep. I think that will come in time, and I think that will develop further. I think it was very much we're here to do a mission, and they were very mission focused, and I don't think I was expecting that. I was expecting them to be a bit more, oh look, shiny, what's over here, and get very, and have a... But no, they came in, they were really focused.
No, get the mission done, and then we can do that.
I think a couple of them kind of led that and kept the more absent-minded party members a little bit on point. But yeah, I was kind of pleasantly surprised how mission-focused they were.
I remembered something that I wanted to ask.
Go on then. Squeeze in quick.
Why did the cat give Ygraine the stink eye?
Because you're a strange fey creature that it hasn't seen before.
Well, give me a freaking stink eye from a cat, because my
it's a racist cat.
Goes...
It's a racist cat.
You have goat legs in your defense.
A racist cat.
And ears and horns and a tail and what?
Cat's gonna look.
Cats would get shanked.
No.
I tried.
Ygraine was awful.
The cats aren't real. They're magical apparitions in a pocket dimension. So technically, the cat never existed. So it can't be offensive.
Ygraine was all for wasting another spell slot just to speak to that cat to be like, oi, bitch.
Oh, if we could have had an RP session where I get to be a sassy cat, I'm all for that.
Oh my god.
I'll RP a sassy cat.
There is no cat.
So
yes,
there is no cat. I just want to bring things to an end, guys. I want one thing I do want to do.
I'll shoot the cat next time.
Thank you.
We've got the crossbow counter. It's the needless death counter.
You're welcome.
Blood count. You're not quite as murder hobo as I expected. Like I expected you to kick the door in, volley a cat at a wall, and burn the place down. Was a potential.
Me or Irene?
Any of you, to be honest. I didn't know how. Oh. I didn't know what to expect.
Nobody wanted me to kill the cat, though.
Review time.
First session.
We have
first session.
I killed a chair. Oh, I tried to kill a chair.
On our Candlekeep mystery sessions on Mondays, every Monday at 7:30 UK time. Tune in. We've just finished Arc 1, or we finished our first 3 episodes. So we start episode 4 on Monday,
spaces.
The Joys of Extradimensional Spaces, which, as written, is designed as a level 1 one-shot from Candlekeep Mysteries. From me, I really like it as a one-shot. I like the fact if you're using it as a entry to D&D, I think it works really well it would be a very good one-shot for new players, because I think you could take out some of the rooms that aren't as interesting. You could
take out the drift globe room.
You can make that mansion smaller if you're stuck for time. For example, I'd probably get rid of all of the basement completely if I was stuck for time. Remove the frog creature out.
I like the kind of things in jar room, which I set on fire.
You did set on fire.
I set on fire.
So that for me, I really like the Joy of Extradimensional Spaces as a book. I think it's got a lot of premise to it. I think it fits into a wider narrative. You could take Verstandia and have that or you could rename the NPC to whatever fits and have a trail of what are they up to, and you could you could follow those or run into them. You've got options to continue the story of Matreus. You don't have to have it in Candlekeep. That could be just a portal in a study room anywhere in your campaign. It would drop really nicely as a one-shot, and I think it's set at a nice level. You've got a cruel mimic, you've got an animated book, you've got the creepy library, you've got a few NPCs to interact with, a little bit of exploration, a little bit of a puzzle solve. As someone's first experience to D&D, I would really rate it. I personally am not a fan of D&D levels 1 to 3 and levels 15 plus. So for me,
I like 5 onwards.
Yeah, 5 to 12 for me is the sweet spot, or 5 to 15. So
I can't comment.
So
you can make some fun stuff at 5.
Yeah, 5 is when it starts getting cool, and 15 is just before it starts getting too wonky. 15 is good for a last boss before it breaks itself. You get level 16, 17, it gets a little bit wonky when you're flying and blinking through dimensions and being a demigod. So I would say I recommend Joy of Extradimensional Spaces to most parties. I think if you're an experienced party and you want to drop it into an existing campaign, you may have to do a bit of rewriting. But as a one-shot, as an introduction to new players or something in that level 1 to 3 region to just drop in, it gets a good review from me. I just think the level 1 puts a little bit of a limit of how much you can do with it. So I think I'll give it, and a friend of mine, we've got 17 of these to review, so I don't want to set my scale too far to one side. I'm going to give it a solid.
How many brews?
How many? Ooh.
I'm
just viewing this. I'm not.
How many tankards?
I'm not rating this based on the interactions with the bar and the inn and the tavern, because that's a setting thing, right? So the cool inn
just
that gets
portal
bigger,
in and portal out kind of thing.
Just the actual mission. I'm going to give it a 7 tankards out of 10.
I was going to go with 7 tankards as well. That's what I had in my head, because it is a good introduction. You get a feel of kind of the vibe for the campaign. You kind of got like, oh, it's kind of like timey-wimey, like portally weird shit going on. There's going to be some weird stuff. And it's a good setup to kind of give you the theming, the vibe. And if it's new players, it's a nice intro. Like the mimic is a bit tough. It was like 48 hit points or something like that. So it's not the easiest of things. Like straight up. I can do sums, unlike you. Also, that frog thing could have been quite tricky as well. A couple of other things that could have tripped us up along the way if we hadn't burnt the shit out of them. But I think it's challenging enough for like existing players who are starting a campaign at level 1, and accessible enough for new players starting a campaign at level 1. So I think 7, good solid 7.
Cool. And Hannah?
I would have personally said a 5.
Ooh,
it was a good.
I've got to do math now for average. God damn it! I thought I'd get a nice easy 777 average
not
7.
At all.
I've got to do math now
because we don't have anything else to compare it against just yet. I can't say.
6.333.
Yeah, it was good.
What?
I'd be like, yeah, it was good. Like blah blah blah. I go, do you know what? It's a middle ground. Okay. It's neither good nor bad. It could have been worked on, but then it could have been fine the way it is. I'm going to say a 5.
Okay.
Personally.
Any comments around that? Or are you happy with what we've... Any further adds on the campaign itself? I've got a final thing to ask you both, but if you guys have got any final comments on the Joy of Extradimensional Spaces, please now or forever hold your peace.
That's a lie. We're never going to stop talking about this. In all honesty, if you actually truly know us.
That's because none of us have lives outside of D&D. Our whole lives are around a D20. Or at least mine is. You guys might have social lives.
Yeah, we have social lives, mate. Yeah.
It's just
sorry,
me. I'm
sorry about
just
that.
that uncool.
I don't. I'm literally waiting for Lauren to come back from Wales so we can have a socially distanced picnic in the park.
No, we can go get Korean barbecue inside.
Korean barbecue.
Right,
yes.
moving before we go down that rabbit hole of, oh God, the cuteness, it hurts my eyes. What? I'm not going to answer this particularly in depth, but from the other 16 adventures that this group is going to go on, provided you survive, if you guys got
I'm going to die first.
I think it's a little bit early for you guys to have any expectations, but is there any cool things or anything specific or any wish listing that you would like to see, whether that's an area, a theme, or is there anything you would kind of go, ooh, I'm glad this is in, or oh, this will be cool?
That's a lot of pressure.
It's a talk show.
I want to meet a deity.
But
or like some
here.
Oh, please just make it
the god of the universe.
No, I would like to meet either like a cult devoted to a god, or like a representative of God, or like some really, really devout priests and shit.
Is this from your character point of view, or just from a
character point of view? Okay, yeah, character point of view.
Okay.
Yeah, so that kind of thing. Also from me,
interesting.
Deoni and also Lauren, just because I fucking love Eldritch shit. I like to see some Eldritch shit. Because yeah, so my character's chosen deity is the old one, and also I just love like Lovecraftian horror and like the old one, Cthulhu. I have plushies of Cthulhu and shit like that. I really, really enjoy it. So anything Eldritch would be for me.
Interesting. Well, there may or may not be Eldritch shenanigans. You'll have to wait and see.
Yay!
Just to wait and see.
I would personally, as myself, not even as as Ygraine.
The obvious answer here is Feywild, surely, right?
No. I would like an alternate reality where we end up going and being part of the campaign of I'm the Frost Maiden, and you have to NPC all of the PCs from Frost Maiden.
I like the idea. The reason
that was personally what I would have.
The reason I have reservations.
We had that in Carbon the other week. Fuck.
The challenge that is, just this is me as a DM. Personally as a DM, I really don't like making decisions or NPC or acting your PCs, because I think it removes a lot of agency from characters, and I know not all players would be okay with that because they'd be like, oh, my character wouldn't do it. I like the idea of, hey, look, it's me in the future, and things like that. I think it's cool to play around with that.
That's what I'm saying. It's an alternate reality, and as long as you can get people sign off, I know personally as Adri, didn't forget my own character's name. As the person that plays Adri, I would have no reservations in having an alternate universe, not like, oh, we're teleported, like a literal alternate universe where it's like, I will give you full autonomy.
We are
and
running...
I'm sure that AD would also do the same thing, and I think that would be... Hi, Lauren.
I don't know what the hell happened then.
You go back to the original places. It's all good. Yes.
Oh no, we haven't. Oh wait.
So
yes, we have.
We're running up to the end of time on this one. So I would say there's a few Easter eggs. There's a few bits and pieces. As always, when I run these pre-written adventures, I throw my own flavor and DM glitter in there, just because I think it makes it easier for me to DM if I've had an input, because I think it's easier then to have it in your head and be able to improv around it. And also, I think for certain groups, I think the Wizards of the Coast books provide a fantastic foundation, but I do think they need that little final polish just to make them fit fit your specific group and what you're looking for.
Tailoring, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how you guys interact with the variety of themes. That's the big thing for me is, no other book or no other campaign have I been a part of that covers such a wide variety of stuff in as quick succession. And because of that, I can throw in little Easter eggs. I can throw little things that might have relevance, little in jokes and things of previous. I have that option to do that. So you might see some stuff. You might see some Eldritchy shit. You might see some timey-wimey alternate dimension stuff. Who knows? But we are going to keep heading off. We are going to keep heading down the journey. We're still going to keep heading along the Candlekeep mystery. I'm just
the Candlekeep.
Candlekeep. Is that like kindergarten
mysteries? It's because I'm trying to type at the same time as talk, and my brain gives up.
You can't
trying to multitask.
I know. Hey, if you try and multitask, you just do two things badly. You
can't
even themselves out. It's fine.
I've tried that as my life mantra. It just doesn't work out like that way at all. I'll do 20 things, and eventually they'll all even out. No, they're just all bad. So for those who join us, thank you very much, everyone in the chat. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for tuning into our Thursday show. Pull Up a Chair, episode 1. This one was The Joy of Extradimensional Spaces in review. I am personally glad that I never have to type out the phrase "The Joy of Extradimensional Spaces" ever again, or even say, because that
it don't really give you a nice concise
no,
title.
I was like, I had to build
like
my
15 words long.
I've had to build all my UIs to fit that as a title in, and now I can shrink it back down again, which is nice. But we've got a few bits and pieces happening, so you can join us every Monday night at 7:30 UK time here at the Short Rest Tavern, but we will continue our Candlekeep Mysteries campaign. You can join us this Monday for episode 4, which will be Mazfroth's Mighty Digressions Part 1. And we'll be doing another giveaway on the Monday night show where you can win yourself a digital copy of Candlekeep Mysteries. Thank you to our friends at D&D Beyond. After each arc, so it won't be every Thursday, it won't be every month, it'll be whenever we finish an arc, we will be doing a episode, Pull Up a Chair episode, doing each section in review. We'll have different cast members each time, mix and match, so we'll have 2 more of our lovely bunch to see what they thought about arc 2. And then Fridays, we go over to Heavyweight Gaming, twitch.tv/Heavyweight Gaming, where I DM Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden, our campaign called Secrets Worth Dying For, where we say goddbye to Lauren.
I look bald with a beard.
So we lose
and
Lauren.
I go by the name AD.
And we gain an AD. And yeah, we're on episode 15 of that campaign. So if you're interested in Frost Maiden and some
Did you not realise what I was saying, Hannah?
You guys can jump in and tune in that over on Heavyweight Gaming. And then lastly, last Sunday of the month, me and AD, who's the DM for a lot of content over on Heavyweight Gaming, we're going to get our heads together. You can join us for our latest show, Beards and Brews, where we're going to have a cup of tea and discuss all things DMing. The first episode is going to be centered around what it's like to be DMing in front of an audience and what it's like to be DMing on Twitch in general, and kind of the life of a streaming DM rather than in person. I think it'd be quite interesting.
Also, you should see me and Rob on a Thursday. So next Thursday,
yep.
Over on Heavyweight Gaming, playing Carbon 2185.
Where I get to play a character. I get to play
the
Larry.
only time that he's not DMing, but he's mentally DMing. That's the difference.
That's the beautiful thing. In Carbon, I don't know anything about, because I've not read any. I've purposely not read the DM books, so everything's new and exciting to me because I have no idea. And,
explain why you're so bad at it.
I get to play an Intelligence 8, Strength 19 Marine. It's great. I'm just like, I'll open that door and just punch it. It's fantastic.
I'm basically Han Solo, and I'm currently stuck in ventilation shafts.
So that's a schedule, guys. Like I say, join us Monday for Candlekeep.
There's so many questions.
End of the month, Thursdays for Pull Up a Chair, Sundays for Beard and a Brew, and then Fridays for I'm Rime the Frost Maiden. Please give us a share, follow, like, subscribe, friend, follow on all our social medias. Give us a follow on Twitch. It helps us massively. Spread the word. We're almost at the point where we can start offering a few rewards and do bits and emotes and all the fun stuff that Twitch offers. If you've missed any of the episodes, everything will be up on YouTube, and spread the love on Facebook and Twitter. I think.
Oh,
we have a Discord as well.
We do have a Discord.
We do.
Jump into the community.
We were watching Good Omens on it last night.
Every Wednesday we watch Good Omens. We'll watch 2 episodes. We have watched episode 1 and 2. So next week will be 3 and 4.
Did we watch 3 as well?
So we are
I
gonna
watched
have to,
three last night.
we are gonna have to wrap up. I'm afraid we are a little bit over time. So again, thank you very much, everyone in the chat. See you all on tomorrow for Rime of the Frost Maiden, and if we don't see you then, see you back here on Monday for Candlekeep Mysteries. So
I
thank you
forgot
very
it was
much.
Thursday.
We are Short Rest Tavern, and we share stories, tell tales, and explore adventures through Dungeons and Dragons. And we'll see you all again next time.
Thank you.
Hi guys,
Are
thanks
we
for
rating someone?
watching.